Yes. Hey, we are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Stronger Together. It's been a minute since we've been on, Brother Umoja.
Really?
The last time we
It's
were
been like
on,
2 minutes.
it's about two. It was either June or July. I know we weren't here in August, but I'm trying to think. I'm not sure if we were here in July also. So, greetings,
So what
everyone.
you been doing? So what you canceled the show or something?
Yeah, we needed some rest. So
What's that?
we had we had to take some rest and respite. So before we jump all the way in, go on and open us up like you normally do so we can set this thing off right.
Okay. Well, greetings everyone. I greet you in the name of God and our ancestors, in whose footsteps we most humbly walk. We
Hmm.
thank you for joining us tonight for a great show. Please feel free to chime in, and we know we're going to get some feedback from you. We are excited.
Yes, yes. Thank you very much. So yeah, so we were deciding all of a sudden it looked and it was like it's the third Thursday and we hadn't done any promotion. We hadn't done anything. And I was like, what we gonna do? What we gonna do?
I like
And,
that.
and I've
Remember,
been at
remember that we when we hit the Powerball. What are we gonna do?
what we gonna do? It's gonna be what am I gonna do with all of this?
Let's hear this stronger together. Blah.
It's on tape. It's on tape now. And I've been presenting all day. Well, I've been at a conference all day. I ended up presenting. So, quick shout out to Dr. Kristen Motley of Health Educated.
What's her first name?
Yes, those who have seen the show have had an opportunity to see her on our Sisters in Harmony show twice. She's fantastic, and she put on a great health symposium today. I have to count how many speakers there were. I mean, it started at 7 a.m. and it went until probably 6 o'clock. And it was just nonstop, packed full of information. And yours truly was one of the speakers.
Thank you.
Yes, yes, yeah, ha, ha, ha. And talking about vulnerability was the topic that I spoke on today. And very interestingly so, it was a vulnerable moment for me. So y'all have known me for years. You've known me with locks. You've known me with twists. You've known me with a short haircut. And the other day I went to get my ends clipped because that's just part of our reality and get my color touched up. And then the lady proceeded to blow dry my hair. And then she added a little bump to it. And I said, I ain't had a press and curl since 1995. I told somebody that today, and the lady said, I was born in 1995. And so it was a vulnerable moment because I know what my hair looks like in twists. I know what it looks like in coils. I don't have to worry about it. I can set it and forget it. But in a press and curl, I don't know what that looks like. And Brother Moja, when I came in the other night, I realized he's never seen this side of me. I was like, I don't even know if you've seen pictures with me with a press and curl. Hello, everyone. So he's still
Yeah,
adjusting, but I'll let you speak
I,
for yourself.
I wish I never have. I could have continued that streak.
You could have continued that reality. So,
Yes.
but he
Uh,
married me. So with
Everyone
that,
pray for me. Everyone, please pray for me. Sister Young, pray deep and hard.
I gotta say,
Sister
Leslie's
Privilege,
one of the few people who knows.
pray.
But we all know, look, those with certain texture and types hair, when the water hits it, it'll go back to what we know. So we'll take it
Mm.
from there.
Water, where are you? Water, where are you? Oh, it's supposed to rain tomorrow in Philly.
Ha
Yay!
ha 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 ha. So, with that said, tonight we are going to talk about working together, which
Mm,
is something that I know some couples opt not to do. And it's funny because I grew up in a household where my parents opted not to work together. And not that my mother wasn't helpful to my father behind the scenes, but she was not an active participant in his day to day business. And that was something that, for whatever reasons, they made that decision. That wasn't a conversation that I had the opportunity to clarify with them, with the both of them. And I just remember my mom kind of saying, like, I leave it to him. It's kind of his domain and so forth. And not really sure how they both honestly felt about it. I also remember my mother saying it was good for relationships to have a certain amount of separation. And if you wanted a marriage to last, then don't work together. And that was very loud to me. I'm a very partnership minded person. And so when Edmund and I first got together, we had our separate jobs, but then he had the nonprofit and he asked me to start working with him there. And I would say that's how we first really started working together.
mm.
What comes to mind? I mean, because you asked me to be on the radio show, but that was your show. It wasn't though until we started. You really started pulling me in with Sisters in Harmony. That was kind of our first layer of working together. What's crossing your mind?
Now I'm just thinking, I guess so, because I asked you what you wanted when we met, and then you said you wanted to do this. I said, well, we have a radio show. If you want to come on the radio show, I'll
Mm-hmm.
do that. So I didn't really think about working together and stuff like that because, truth be told, at that time we had so many guests, so many hosts, co-hosts,
Exactly.
and sisters in the radio show we did. Um, it
Mm-hmm.
was just that you were just another host that I just happened to know and start dating.
Right.
Oh well.
Y'all heard that, right? Y'all
Oh
heard
well.
that.
I
Right.
hope. Yeah. Yeah. Oh well.
But to your point, right? It wasn't that it was something that you and I started together. Hey, Kelly. It wasn't something that you and I started together. And then even in your photography business, I was really there to assist you
Mhm.
and right, but it was in my mind, it was still your business, it wasn't our business, so I played that role of an assistant, really.
Okay. Yeah, I can go with that. Yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
And so it wasn't until we started doing the film festival and then of course GSAC, Green Street Animal Care, that I would say that you and I truly started to work together beyond. That's right. Show them, babe. Show them, babe.
Yeah, that's,
There we go. But that you and I started working together as really co-pilots in business. And what was that? What's coming to mind for you, and what was that like for you?
well, I think what's coming to mind. I think was just finding a good balance. I guess the word is balance. Um, learn even though you're working together, still learn balance and staying in your lane
Mm-hmm.
because I I guess when you work with someone and you're dating the person or married to the person, I think you still have to have boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
Still have to, if you don't want to call it boundaries, it's just know your lane.
Mm-hmm.
There's certain, like even right now, I with Kadaga and stuff like that, I write all the scripts, but I still send them by you to
Mm-hmm.
go over because it was good to have your eyes. But I write the scripts by myself.
Mm-hmm.
I isolate, pretty much isolate myself when I write. So I focus on what I want, how I want it to come out. But then I run them by you, and you go over it with your red pen like a teacher.
So for those who know me as clients, everybody gets it. But
So,
so go ahead.
so I'm like, but it's just knowing just knowing your lane and
Mhm.
respecting the lanes. I think
Mhm.
that's what it is for me. I'm cool with that because I know I don't know everything. So I'm
Mhm.
always looking for people around. Like I have a saying that always a student, sometimes a teacher. So I'm
Mhm.
always looking to learn and stuff like that. And what do I need? What do I need to make myself better?
Mhm.
And you can't think like that and think that you know everything,
Mhm.
or you could do everything, because you
Mhm.
can't do it. In reality, no matter how much you do, how much you know, you can't do everything. Period.
Right.
And so, why even fight it? Just acknowledge it, accept it, and see what you can do, what you really can do, and then see and respect what you can't do, and find people around you. Surround yourself with people who can help you be better. That's all.
Yeah, so one of the things that you had said was, as far as staying in your lane. And it was a matter of us clarifying what were the roles that we wanted to take, right? And what were our strengths. And that became the biggest thing. And then being able to trust each other in those particular areas. And sometimes even ask or lean on each other to do something that maybe we really didn't initially want to do.
Hmm. Yeah, like when we met, I said I am a big networker, and she says I don't network, I socialize.
That's right.
And I was like, ah, yeah, 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 yeah. No, it's two different energies, two different words. And so after a while, I just left her alone. I said she'll come around. Oh, she'll get it. And now she's networking like crazy.
You funny.
Because for me, I've always been a networker, even before the word became popular. This has been a little kid, being around, being even I was in high school and stuff like that. And I always found it easy for me to talk to people, and if I didn't want to talk to people, I was just quiet. And sometimes people just think I was shy, and I was like, I just don't want to say anything to you. Like, I just don't want to talk. And some people thought I was shy, but it's not. I don't want to
Mhm.
talk to you. I don't have nothing to say to you. And
Mhm.
so for me, networking with people, opening up avenues of communications. And as I got older, it's like listening to people. If you listen to people long enough, you will find out at least two or three things that you could talk to them about,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
So is the art of listening, and then dissecting what the person is saying, and then
Mhm.
taking it and using it or amplifying it to make them feel comfortable. Because to me, if I listen to someone within 5 minutes, I could find something that they said to talk to them about that they like, or
Mhm.
they're interested in,
Mhm.
right? And I think that's a big thing about networking and even being an entrepreneur is like, how do you open up lines of communications, those lanes of communication? You have to, you have like a few minutes to really listen to someone and find something to keep their attention with you, and be able to open up a communication lane that they feel comfortable, and you never know what will happen next.
Yeah. Well, and I had to explain to him because he would be like, come on, you got to network. You know, all of these people, you need to meet these people. And I said, you have to understand, I can't speak for other places around the country, but I know when networking was popular in Philly, it was a low key word for let's hook up.
Oh,
Let
it's
me
something in New
let me
York.
go to these events and meet people so that I can, potentially date this person. And I'm going to these networking events, trying to have conversation about business, and I'm being looked up and down, and let me slide you my number and this and that and everything, right? It was the DMs before the DMs existed. And I was like, this ain't networking. This is just people trying to hook up. So I'm not interested in that. And so that's why, but Edmund was an active networker. So, with that being said, that was something that he was comfortable with. And he knew that that was something that I wasn't comfortable with. I don't mind, y'all know, I don't mind talking to people. But it was like, this is going to be your strong suit. So, when it comes to us being in business together, I'm going to push people over to your side to manage and handle that. And so, even to this day, when certain connections are made, I shifted right on over to him. And I said, okay, look, this person is going to call you. I tell them, talk to my husband. He's the one that you need to speak to. I may be the entrance into whatever the business relationship is, but he's the one that you're going to be working with. Go ahead. I see your mind going.
No, no. What you said is very true. I networking back in the day. I'm a little older than you. I remember those. I remember.
Hmm.
But you know what? The thing is, I had a plan. I know what I wanted, and I mean, when I was living in New York, it was the same thing. In New Jersey, and the same thing is like, I give my card to people, and they want to know when can we hook up, and I was like, no, I'm talking about business, and they look at me like I got two heads, and so for every 10 people I spoke to, maybe one or two got it. And even
Hmm.
how I met you, with Sisters in Harmony, when we started Sisters in Harmony, and I used to network on the radio show. I think he's still on the radio. It's Michael Basin had Mingle City.
Hmm.
Okay, now Mingle City. That's the way he had it, Mingle City, and people. So, but I was on then. I was
I
network. I
know
was.
Leslie is cracking up with you talking about Michael Basin and Mingle City, because I don't know if other people remember that, but I
I
know
think
she over
I
there
think he
cracking
must
up.
have,
Go
I don't
ahead.
know. But the thing is, but for me, I had my mind set on what I was doing, and I was like, Mingle
Hmm.
City, people are hooking up on Mingle City, people are talking and so for that. If I could control my conversation and direct them where I want to, maybe one or two out of every 10 person I speak to will get it.
Hmm.
And I didn't need to get all 10. If I figured if I kept on doing it and kept on doing it, and that's how I built Sisters in Harmony. And in fact, my vice president, I met her on Mingle City. And I said to her, wait, why don't you come to, I was living in New Jersey. I said, why don't you come to Philly because we're going to do a photo shoot. And she always laughs about it. A single woman's going to leave where she's in Maryland. She's going to drive up to Philadelphia to see a guy about a photo shoot. Yeah, right. But I said, okay, so I got another sister down there to drive up with her. So I think if you go with a good heart, the majority of people understand. And we built Sisters in Harmony when we first started. We got over 400 people, women, into
Hmm.
the organization. That was just networking like that.
Hmm.
I mean, sometimes it's very. I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes it was very difficult. It was very depressing, because you talk to like 60 people in a week about it, and maybe one will come.
Hmm.
And you're like, but you know what? Determination. If you know your goals, and you're determined to finish the race, you will finish it.
Hmm.
You might
Well,
not finish it when you want to, but you will finish it. And
and I
that was my thing.
Yeah, and I think that's, the same thing with us as far as being business partners as well as being life partners, is that we had to establish what our goals were. And, even when it came to the animal care center and we were deciding on boarding being a topic or being a business, a part of our business, rather, excuse me. And it was something that I did not feel comfortable doing. But yet it was something that he felt very comfortable doing. And
It's
so,
like that.
go ahead.
I wasn't comfortable. I wasn't comfortable doing it, but I didn't have a problem doing it.
Okay,
So,
thank you
and,
for the
and
clarification.
so, because it wasn't something I ever did. Even though I grew up among my grandfather, who was a farmer, and I've been around animals.
Mhm.
It wasn't something I comfortable. It was just something that it had to be done. And
Mhm.
for me, where I come from, my mindset as I get older now, even back then, was what do we need to do to get this done, to
Mhm.
accomplish it? It's not about what do I like, it's about
Mhm.
what do I need to do. Okay. And this is something that we had to do.
Mhm.
And I said, this is something I had to do. And I adjusted my mindset and the way I walk
Mhm.
to accomplish it. In the Christian Bible, it says I could do all things. It doesn't say some
Mhm.
things. It says I could do all things through God. So for me, I feel that. I live that. I
Mhm.
walk that. I know I could do all things. Even now with the film with Kadaga and stuff like that, I didn't go to
Mhm.
school to be a filmmaker, but I know I
Mhm.
could do it. I know God will bless me if I put my mind and my heart into it, and I will accomplish this.
Mhm.
So with the dogs and stuff like that, I never took. You remember I said to you I could help you with 5 dogs. I
Yeah.
said,
Well.
but I walked in and I looked at what was going on, and I made the adjustments to my mindset so that way I could
Mhm.
figure something out. As a technician, just find out what we could do.
Well, I think there's several things that you said that I think is important, and I didn't even remind people to get their pen and piece of paper so they can jot down some notes as we're talking and thoughts are coming to mind. Is you talked about one adjusting your mindset, right? And so it was looking at what was on the table and figuring out how to make it best work for us. And so one of the reasons that I didn't want to do boarding was obviously I'm doing the clinical work. There were some other projects that I was working on, and I was like, I don't have the time and attention to give to the animals like I want to, because our motto is that we treat your pets like family. And I knew that I didn't have the time to do that. And with his business being largely online, his thing was I do have the time. I can make the adjustment once he made the mental adjustment. And to his point, he said to me, who's going nobody's going to treat those animals like we treat those animals. And I was like, that's true, right? And so we then started, we talked. And so it's important, I think, if you're choosing to be in a relationship with anybody, be it a family member, a non-family member, whatever, if you're choosing to be in a relationship, be in a partnership with business, it's important that you have these real honest conversations. And so it was like, what can you do? And he said all the things that he was willing to do. And I said, okay, what's the maximum that we can do? And what's the minimum that we can do? And when we first started, he said, I feel comfortable with 5 dogs. And it was like, it was like, okay, then that's what we're going to do, right? Because it was understanding where he is, meeting him where he is, him meeting me where I am, but us having that open dialogue. Go ahead.
I I think um, there's an African proverb.
You
About
making it up like Medea,
no,
or it's a
no,
real one?
no, it's an African. An elder gave it to me. He says, "How do you eat an elephant? You eat
Oh,
one,
okay.
one piece at a time."
Mm-hmm.
Okay, walking in there, I knew I could manage 5 dogs.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what was my capabilities. I'm being realistic about. I'm not going to say I could do 10 or 15 dogs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so once I got in there, I saw the system. I dissected the system and see how
Mm-hmm.
my system, and that's find the common link. Find how do we merge them together, make them work and grow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and being the son of a farmer, I always know how things grow. You have to take care of it. You have to water your plants and so forth and so on. So for me, it was just watering the business and let the business water me. It's a two-way street,
Mm-hmm.
right? So as a business watered me, I got to understand it from the perspective that I needed so I could grow.
Mm-hmm.
And as I grow, I went from 5 to 10 to 15, and I could do whatever, as many doses I needed to do because then I had
Yeah.
a system. I understood that's what was going on and how to use what was around me.
Yeah.
And so I think in life it's the same thing. When you go to work for someone, you go in the first day, you have an idea, but when you get there, you have to adjust yourself to what
Mm-hmm.
that company's doing if you want to keep your job,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? So we adjust ourselves. We do this, we do that, and we talk to the people around and see how things work at this company. Even though
Mm-hmm.
you might have an idea because you have the technical skills, now you
Mm-hmm.
need to understand that company and how do things work.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the same principle here. It's the same process. I just had to learn how things work, what needed to be done, when did it need to be done, and how long it needed to be done for. And then so I adjust myself to the system, the weather, and what if this happens? What do I do here? What do I do here if this happens?
Mhm.
Same thing at work. I know you as a technician. I used to walk into the company. They used to say, "Hey, we need you to break this down." I'm like, I never touched that equipment before, but I know how to break something down. Let me find out what this equipment does, break it down, and see how do I address this piece of equipment to fix it or do what I had to do with it.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with this. The same thing with life. The
Yeah.
challenge for us as people, Dr. Walls, is that sometimes we try we try to get water from a rock. we, we, we bang our head against something that we shouldn't need to bang our head on,
Mhm.
instead of just saying this is a rock, let me just move the rock. There's probably water underneath it. We try to go through the rock to get to the water,
Mm.
the rock to
Mm.
the side. No.
Well, I think right, and that's the whole purpose of the communication and the conversation, because sometimes you don't recognize not you specifically, but we don't recognize that there's another way to get things done. And as you talked about earlier in the show, clarifying kind of where you wanted your lane to be. So I'm very technical, I'm very organized, I'm a teacher. So he's a technician, I'm a technician. So it was a matter of breaking things down. And so we definitely recommend that you do that, that you have to break things down. And sometimes in the midst of figuring out how to do things, this was not a business that he and I initially thought we would ever have, but it was one.
That's why
it,
I'm laughing
it,
at you.
yes, it was one that came unexpectedly, and it was like, how do we make this work for us, and how do we work with it so that we can have the best situation possible? Well,
Yeah,
you look like you can ready to say something. Go ahead.
I think it's just your end. You have to identify your end goal.
Mhm.
It has to be your end goal, not someone else's end goal. And that's why sometimes we don't identify. And that's why people change jobs sometimes,
Yeah.
because all of a sudden they realize this is not what they want to do. They want to do something.
Mhm.
Now, but then they have a better understanding of the end goal. They say, okay, this is what I really like doing.
Yeah.
But
Well,
this,
you know what? I'm sorry. Go
go
ahead.
ahead. No, go ahead.
No, I was going to ask you. So we don't always agree.
Okay, yeah, that's good.
And so how do we manage that? I know because a lot of people see us and they're like, y'all work really well together. And honestly, most times we do, but there are times where we have to take our respective corners.
Yeah, and that's good.
And
I,
you say that because what?
because it
Because you like
shows.
me feisty. You like me
No,
spicy.
no, no,
That ain't it.
no, that's not.
I think y'all think y'all know that's what it is. Go ahead.
I used to have a head of hair before I met a family.
Yeah, he did actually.
No, I think disagreement is good because disagreement gives you an opportunity to grow if you're into growing.
Mm,
Because
mm,
when I disagree with you, I look at what I'm disagreeing about.
mm-hmm,
Is it personal? Is it professional?
mm,
Why am I disagreeing with you, or so forth and so on?
mm-hmm,
And I'm like, okay, if I'm disagreeing you because it's personal, and I'm like, hey, this is personal. Why? What about it? If it's professional, what about it? And then I break it
mm-hmm,
down. Sometimes I say, you know what? I don't like it, but she's right. So yeah, just let it go. Keep quiet and learn. Learn from it. See what she's doing, how she's doing, and learn from it. So I'm
mm-hmm.
always trying to learn. I'm always a student. I'm always trying to learn because in disagreement you can't grow. But
Right.
it's up to the person if you want to grow. Because when you disagree with someone, all it means is that the way you think of something, the way they think of something, is different.
Mm-hmm,
So how do we get on the same page? Do I need to adjust myself, or does that person need to adjust themselves?
mm-hmm,
Is there a place of adjustment? Because I you know me with 360 degrees, right?
mm-hmm.
So if
I
360,
do, but they don't tell them.
I have a principle as 360 degrees. In the center of the circle, the center never moves. But we have 360 degrees. That means every degree or every angle you go through, that center looks different, but the center hasn't moved. So what you see at 5 degrees and what you see at 175 degrees, the angle has changed, but that thing hasn't moved. It's the same thing. So when you look at it differently, all of a sudden you could get a different perspective on it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm always open to looking for a different perspective in something, right? So once we oh, you're on board.
That,
One,
and y'all can see the haircut.
oh Lord.
Go ahead. Go
And,
ahead.
and we could talk about the hair could be a perfect.
You want to go there? Come on.
You the one who said it.
Uh-uh.
My wife knows when it comes to her hair. I like. I'm a
You were focused on 360. We can go back to the hair later. Finish keeping this
360 degrees.
course.
In that center or that 300, that center does not move. But if you are on the circle and you move around that circle, you see that center from a different perspective.
Mm-hmm.
That different perspective will give you an idea of how that thing is in existence and
Mm-hmm.
give you an idea how to think about it.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's something for me is very important because I love math. So I use it 360 degrees. I came up with 360. Well, I came up with it because an elder gave me something and I took it and I made 360 degrees out of it. I looked at it from that perspective. So what we have to do, I think, as human beings, to make less stress in ourselves because you get your stress, your pressure goes up and everything like that. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you find yourself, let me look at this from a different perspective. If you're not in physical danger, if it's not hurting the person you love, you know maybe also if it's not against your religious beliefs,
Mm-hmm.
look at it from a different perspective. You don't have to agree. Let me be very clear. You don't have to agree. It's 360 degrees. You do not have to agree with the person, but just learn how to respect them and respect where they're coming from gives you an idea on how to work with that person.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember when I was in high school, which was many years ago, and my teacher said the reason the United Nations would exist originally was to where countries would come to air their differences and find a common ground to make things work.
Mm-hmm.
I always remember him saying that to me. I was like, hmm. So and so when we look at ourselves as human beings, if we could say, I agree with this and you disagree with that, but let me see where you're coming from. Doesn't mean I have to agree with you. Let me see where you're coming from so I can get a better understanding of where you stand. And then I can have more respect for it. And then once again,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't mean you have to agree with it.
Mm-hmm.
Agreeing and respect is two different words, two different energies, two different mindsets. I could
Yeah.
disagree with you, but still respect you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's one of the biggest issues we have is that we
Mm-hmm.
try to say respect and respect
And
and agreeing
respect
is
is
the
just,
same thing. It's not the
yeah.
same thing.
Yeah.
So I,
Yeah.
I could just I could disagree with my wife 3, 4 times, but I never lose my respect for her. And I
Oh.
would say to her, I said, I don't, and I said to her when we were there, I said, I don't see this your way, but you know what? I'm being quiet because I don't know everything. So let me see what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And she could tell you that. And we went through this
Yep.
a lot when we were dating
A
because
lot.
I grew up in New York and she grew up in Philly. So, and I'm from the Caribbean. So it's totally
Mm-hmm.
a lot of different
We
things.
got a lot of different cultural aspects between us.
Yeah. So I mean, so when we look at things in the general sense of life,
Mm-hmm.
are you trying to have a peaceful life, a life of peace and balance? If
Mm-hmm.
you are, I think you look for ways to understand things around you, just
Yeah.
to respect them.
Yeah.
Because I had a friend who was Muslim. I'm not Muslim, and he used to go and pray. He does his prayer. He used to do his prayers 5 times. I was like, and I looked at him and I was like, I don't get it, but that's your thing, man. So when he
Mm-hmm.
used to go do his prayer, pull his man, go do his prayer, I used to respect him. I didn't bother him. I didn't try to talk to him. And he went and do his thing. That wasn't my thing, but I respected where he was coming from.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
we became great friends, really
Mm-hmm.
great friends. And because he said, Ed, you really respect my religion. I said, yeah, I
Yeah.
don't. I said, I don't get it, but I'm gonna respect it because it's your
Yeah.
religion.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah. I think, to the point of the 360-degree piece came up, and those who have seen past shows, we talked about how you and I were having a disagreement one night. And it wasn't an argument, it was just he wasn't understanding where I was coming from, and I wasn't understanding where he was coming from. And I, of course, couldn't understand how he couldn't understand where I was coming from. And then I couldn't understand how I couldn't understand where he was coming from. And so there was just a whole lot of not
We got a
understanding,
headache.
right, happening. And he was like, wait, wait, wait. And he said it just like that, tone of voice. We were sitting at the dining room table. He was like, wait, wait, wait. You have to understand there's 360 degrees to everything. And when he said that, automatically I saw one of those old school protractors with the 360 degrees on it. And so I was like, get your computer, because he's a graphic designer also. So I said, I need you to get your computer. I need you to get that old school protractor up there. And then I got a globe, and I said, I need you to put it in the center, because at this point, it had moved into a visual space for me, and I was trying to conceptualize what he was saying, make it tangible, right? And then make it applicable to situations. And so he's absolutely right that based on your life experiences, based on how you grew up, based on where you grew up, based on family customs, based on the way in which you understand things, you're going to look at any situation through that lens. And his lens and my lens are two different lenses. And that just, and as he mentioned, right, me growing up, born and raised in Philly, him born in the Caribbean and partly raised there, and then being raised in Brooklyn, and then living in Jersey. Like, we have all of these life experiences that we come together with, that made us have this moment of looking at things from two very different angles. And even though we're very communicative with us, we never talked about how those differences could impact us and get in the way of us getting along or understanding each other,
Yeah.
until we had this moment. And
Ah,
now let me, yeah, and let me say this too. When we first started dating, even though I'm the clinician, he came in with one of the best pieces of advice,
well, let me get my
which
pen out. Where's
was,
my pen?
yeah, get your pen and write it down, document it. So
Hey, Miss Young.
he came in with one of the best pieces of advice. He said to me, we need to evaluate, talk about our relationship every season. He said, because our energy changes every season. And so we have to check in with each other. And I was like, now, how in the world did I get a doctorate in psychology? And that technique was never told to me.
He's funny.
And I was like, no problem. And I love it because it forced us to talk about, like, how are we interacting? Do we get along summer, winter, fall, spring? Is he noticing, am I more sluggish during this time and more energetic in another time? Right. And again, if we're looking at all of the life events that have taken place, are there certain times a year? So, like, my father made his transition in September, right? He needs to be mindful, like, okay, is her energy changing around that time? And is there something that we need to do to adjust ourselves or so forth? And so, these are things that we need to talk about. I know we're giving y'all a lot, and I feel like some of y'all brains are like, I never thought about that. I never thought about that. Right. But we got to take all of this into consideration. Again, being in a relationship, just a life partnership with each other. But then the other part is, then we want to add a work relationship. So now we're not just spending time with each other after we've spent time apart, we're now compounding it with more time together, so to speak. What did Kelly say? Kelly said, don't worry, it's recorded, so you're safe, Edmund. It's already documented.
Thank you, Kelly. That's my girl. Thank you, Kelly. All right.
So go ahead, Edmund. You look like you're
No,
going to say
you
something.
know, yeah, we give it a lot, but every day we got everyone has 24 hours in a day, and we sleep maybe 6 to 8 hours of those out of those 24. And then you break down how many hours of the day do you actually do work
Mhm.
for yourself, not for
Mhm.
somebody else, for yourself.
Mhm.
How many hours? Think of you want to talk about homework? Break it down, family, to yourself for yourself. 24 hours in a day. When you got to subtract your how many hours you sleep, how many hours you work for somebody else. Get down to see how much time you spend on working on yourself.
Oh,
Okay?
see now, see y'all, you can tell he been around me because now he talking my talk.
No, I'm talking math. I'm a mathematician. I love math. So
Mhm. Mhm.
and
Go
so
ahead.
when we do that, and you say you might come down and say maybe 1 hour or 2 hours in the day you have for yourself. It may be
Right.
you jogging or exercise and whatever. What how many hours or how many minutes in a day do you work on yourself and making yourself better?
Mhm.
And you say to yourself, out of all 24 hours in a day, that's all you spend on yourself. So you have to say, wow, let me do the best job I can do with that at that in this day. And
Mhm.
that's a major challenge for us as human beings because then, if you are married or you have a significant other you live with and stuff like that, when stop and think about how much time do y'all spend together make that relationship better.
Mhm.
Then you look at the time, you say, oh yeah, yeah,
Right.
and so that's from I think for us in our relationship, I think that was it was a we broke that down to where we had she started something really good. We had Wednesdays was date night.
Mhm.
Okay. So I knew on Wednesdays was date night, so I wasn't going to set up anything for Wednesday date night. So whatever, and think about it. We really need to think about it because even with our children, are there times where we just shut all the computers down, shut the TV up, and spend time listening to our children talk about their day? Not them
Mhm.
in their room watching TV or playing the computer, and you in your room doing your thing. How much time do you spend with your children is sitting there and talking and listening to them
Yeah. Yeah.
and letting them see that they are important
Yeah.
in your life? And so I think that's very important. So when you look at 24 hours in a day, how much quality time do you put into yourself? You put into your relationship, you put into your family, your children.
Mhm.
It could vary from day to day or on the weekends or
Yeah.
whatever. But think about that, and you
Yeah.
think about the challenges that we have as human beings every day.
Mhm.
To make things work.
Yeah.
How do you make things work? So that 360 degrees is looking at it from different angles. You say, well, I'm going to spend more time with my daughter on Monday, then on Tuesday I'll spend more time with my son. You break it down to something that works. It's for
Yeah.
you. It's not what other people can give you ideas and you take their ideas. By the end of the day, it's about
Mhm.
you. It's
Yeah.
about you. What are you doing? Do you spend more time with your daughter on Wednesday or more time with your son on Saturday or whatever it is?
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
you give them that attention. So it's the same thing if your mate, your partner, how much time are you giving your partner?
Yeah. Let
So
me
go ahead.
let me just jump in real quick. First of all, on the Instagram side of life, Shay said you cooking now, Ed. So
Thank you, Shay. Is that
but
Shorty? Shorty?
no, there's Mr. Ricks. Shay and
Oh,
Mr.
okay. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Okay.
Okay. So I'm glad that you did this because a lot of times people don't stop and actually look at the realistic amount of time that we have. And we need to definitely do that. Hi, we have Holistic Concierge on the Instagram side of life from Sweden.
Hey,
So,
peace and blessings.
greetings. Yes, peace and blessings.
What time is it over there now in Sweden?
Yes, great question. I'll tell everybody once you put it in the chat. So I'm glad that you broke this down and you talk about homework. I want people to do it right now with us because people be trying to put off
I
homework
could
talking
give
about they
you
won't be on till next month. No, I want to do it now. So, right, you do. You have 24 hours in a day. How long are you sleeping? Subtract it, and then let's look at out of those 16 hours that you have left, how many of those hours are you working? Many times people are working more than 8 hours a day. A lot of times it's 10 hours. Um, They said you are on point at the 24-hour piece,
Well,
right?
thank you.
And so then you subtract that, how many hours you're actually working if you're on a job for 8 hours, be it your own employment or working for someone else. Many times when you're working for yourself, you're actually working more than 8 hours a day. And we know when you work for other people, it's many times more than 8 hours a day too. And
Mhm.
then you subtract it from that, and then to your point, right, how much time we got to put eating, right, bathing, dressing, will are you relaxing, are you watching television, exercising, right? These are all things, and next thing you know, to your exact point, how much time then is left to spend working on your relationships, be it romantic, sibling, friendships, all of those, your spiritual relationship. How much time do you have left? And you have to be conscious about it because time does what time does,
Mhm.
meaning that it keeps moving.
Yeah.
At
Yeah.
no point does time stop. Go ahead, babe.
And I'm going to use a person, my personal, something personal that happened to me back, last year, 2023. Yeah. As you know, my mom made her transition in 2005. She
Yes.
and she made her transition in the Caribbean, in my homeland, St. Lucia.
Mm-hmm.
And the family had to go down there, and we had to bury her.
Mm-hmm.
And my brother came, my brothers, my two brothers, my sister, we all came down there, right? And then we left. I did not see my younger brother. My younger brother and I are the closest, right? He's the closest one to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't see him again from 2005 until October of last year when we went to see our
Mm-hmm.
grandson.
2023.
And I said to myself, you gotta do better. We gotta do better than that. So I
Mm-hmm.
made a promise to him. I said, from now on, we're gonna check in at least once a week. But at least once a week, we're gonna check in once or twice, once every 2 weeks, we check in with each other. But our mother would not accept that. And so since October of 2023, I
Mm-hmm.
call him or I text him at least once a week or once every 2 weeks. Because I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, but he lives on the West Coast. So I'm like, I had to make that time.
Right.
It wasn't about where it's not it wasn't about is time gonna let me do it. No, I control my 24 hours. And I said, I'm gonna make time to make sure I check in with him. And funny thing is he starts to check in with me. So he called me the
Mm-hmm.
other day, hey bro, what's going on? And it
Mm-hmm.
was really good that we got to this point. And I'm saying to myself, all we had to do was just cut out a few minutes out of a week
Mm-hmm.
to check in with each other.
Yeah.
He called me last night. As you know, he asked me about doing something, helping him do something, and I was up late
Mm-hmm.
last night helping him do it. So
Mm-hmm.
and we have to get back to the place where we set aside a certain amount of time, maybe in a day or in a week or in a month,
Mm-hmm.
for ourselves and build it and making ourselves better.
Yeah.
And I think that's a challenge, and it's a challenge maybe I want to put out there for people.
Yeah.
What have you done for yourself in the last week? How much time have you spent on yourself?
Mm-hmm.
You, on yourself. Think about it. How much
Mm-hmm.
quality? How much time? Because then you're going to put the quality and you put the time.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, how much time have you spent on yourself?
Yeah.
Yourself.
Yeah.
Not trying to help somebody else. Helping yourself. Making
That's
yourself
right.
to build yourself. Build your quality of your time for yourself.
Yeah.
How much time have you done? You stop and think about it, family. How
Mm-hmm.
much have you done in the last week?
Yeah, I mean, and even as you're saying this, and I want to acknowledge our listener from Sweden who said, in response to you talking about your choosing to make that time to connect with your brother, they said valuable, and then they asked for some healing energy to be sent to a friend who is going into surgery.
Hmm.
So yeah, so we definitely send that healing energy to them,
And that's
definitely.
real, Dr. Walls. That's very real. Everything is energy.
Mhm.
When we understand we have the power to control energy,
Mhm.
we could tell it where to go and what to do.
Yes.
That's not no fantasy stuff, no Hollywood stuff. That's within ourselves. Because when you breathe, You ever go to the doctor and say, take a deep breath? What they're getting you to do something. Take more air in. Air is life. Air is energy.
Yeah.
So we can do it, and prayer, is very important, very powerful. I think in the Christian Bible it talks about when many come together and pray on the same thing, there's a certain effect that happens.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. Kelly said that's good. We control our 24 hours. What will you do with your time? Make it count. Definitely. And we do need these constant reminders that it is our time. We're given time as a gift. So many times people will treat time as if it's an
Enemy.
enemy or a frenemy, right? And so it's like, no, establish a good working and an honest working relationship with time. I was saying during my presentation today, the only person that knows that you're lying is you,
Mm. Say
right?
it again, Doctor. I like
The
that.
only person that knows that you're lying is you,
Yeah. And,
right?
yeah, Doctor, I'm glad you said that because
Go
as
ahead.
many times I'll just say to you, I love you. I
Yes, you
say that to you a
do.
lot. I said for several ones, I want to put the vibration out into the universe.
Mhm.
I believe in vibration. I believe in energy, and I want you to hit it. I want it to hit. I want it to vibrate in your ear, so
Mhm.
that way you get that vibration into you.
Mhm.
No one else could put that vibration into you the way I can.
That's right.
All right. Someone else could tell you I love you. It's a different vibration.
Yes,
When I
it
tell you
is.
I love you, it's a different vibration.
Yeah.
And so we have to think about it because if people say, "Oh, I hate you," what does that do to you? And when someone
Mhm.
says, "I love you," what does that do to you? So that tells you the
Mhm.
vibration is real.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. Let's see what Kelly said. She said, I've been on purpose making myself get up earlier than usual and taking 5 minutes to stretch. While doing so, I found that I felt great and wasn't as stiff when moving about.
Me too.
For sure.
I do that in
For
the
sure.
morning. I feel way. You take those deep breaths in the morning, get yourself. You feel different.
Yeah.
You feel. I mean, that's some people just try that. If you also like, thanks Kelly for saying that.
Mhm.
Challenge yourself to start at a minute and work your way up.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
let's do some deep knee breath, deep knee
Knee
bends,
bends.
and then continue and add something to it. Add something to it. You'll be surprised with how it makes you feel when you go through your day. You start your day
It's
like
the
that.
truth.
Yeah.
She said she found after purposely making 5 minutes just for her, I use more time to start meditating and feel even better. Thank you, Kelly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you, Kelly.
So important. And to your point, when during the pandemic, I was called on a lot to do virtual wellness workshops. And one of the things that I used to share with people was to do a 1 minute meditation and just do deep breathing, inhaling through your nose and exhaling through your mouth for 1 minute. Set your timer and do it. And they would find themselves that and Sophia in Sweden, she said she recommends that she does that. She recommends that to new mothers as well.
Mm,
Right, finding that time, and again, right, you just start with 1 minute, and you notice how quickly your body, your mind, your spirit responds to that intentional, deliberate action. And then I would tell people, I said, now y'all could be real crazy. Y'all could do a minute in the morning, a minute at lunch, and a minute at bedtime. Then you got 3 minutes that you focused on yourself. Now, I don't want you to get buck wild and go up to 5, but you can do 3 minutes, right? But they notice how impacted they are by that action. And it is that mindfulness and it is that give back because we give out all day. Most of us do. We're
mhm,
giving out all day, all day, all day, but we're rarely pouring back into ourselves.
mhm,
And so I think this is a great activity here, right? When you look down and you say, okay, I have 8 hours here that I can spend. How much of this am I going to devote to give to myself?
mhm,
As a clinician, I know I was always running and jumping and helping people. And then I was taking singing lessons for a long time. And it was 30 minutes just for me. And I remember one of my mentees, she said to me, You have to take that time for yourself because you give more than 30 minutes to everybody else. Please give yourself at least 30 minutes. And so I honored that. I honored that request and I honored myself in that way.
Mhm.
Jamila said the thing I like about the Apple Watch is has a feature in the well-being section where it has you do 1 minute deep breathing and 1 minute reflections and reminds you daily to do the two. Yeah,
Oh,
that's
cool.
good. That's
That's
good.
good. That's
And
very
I oftentimes I'll put something in my phone as a reminder of wellness for myself. Like literally, it says for me to journal. It says for me to state affirmations, and I have the affirmations that I state. And so the same way my alarm or reminder will go off. Or for a calendar thing like this is your next appointment is the notification. That's what I'm trying to say. The same way I get notified on what appointments are coming up is the same way I get notified to make sure I do my affirmation, to make sure I do my journaling. So it becomes very important. Sophia from Sweden says I go to the hospital to treat nurses for 25-minute massage sessions at healthcare in Sweden. Wow, way to go.
Okay,
Look,
I gotta go to
I
Sweden and
know.
go to their
We
hospital.
look. We gonna tambourine it up for
Okay, go.
Sophia. Way to go. That's
Yeah, Sophia. All right,
fantastic.
that's cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
I
fantastic.
mean, I'm glad she said. I'm glad what Kelly said, what she said, what Sophia said. This shows us um, when we are ready, we
Mhm.
will find the time to do what's important for us,
That's
for
right.
yourself.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
Because we don't we have to get back into one thing is um, have the courage to say no to certain things
Mm.
and, and have the courage to say yes to yourself.
Mm. Mhm.
And that's
Mhm.
it. It's simple when it comes down to it. Because
Yeah.
say no, I don't want to do this. I will do this for myself today. Tomorrow I'll do that, or whatever it is. Once you find the wording that fits your soul and move you in the right way, you feel it. You say, "Ooh, that felt so good." I said no to him. Oh, I said no
Mhm.
to her. Ooh, that felt so good.
Mhm. You know what? And I'm glad you said that, right? Because so many times we we have to learn to respect our body. Whenever I'm working with my clients, I say TFF, okay? And it's not a curse word, y'all. It and the first T, the T is what are you thinking, right? What are your thoughts that you're having? Then feeling from an emotional standpoint, what feelings are you experiencing? And then from another feeling standpoint, what is your body experiencing? And that becomes important because sometimes when we are talking with people, when we say we're going to do something for someone, we may feel burdened, heavy, anger, bitter, right? All of this stuff that doesn't make us feel good, we feel it in our shoulders, we feel it in our back, or we feel excited, light, energized, and so forth. And we have to learn how to listen to our bodies. So when you said, like, oh, that feels so good that I told that person no, oh, that felt right. And we didn't have to make up an excuse or why we couldn't do something that we really didn't want to do anyway.
Mhm.
And so, and then we also have to look at this at these hours that we're saying, do we have the time to do some of those other things that people are requesting of us? And do we want to add it to the time that we have? There was a meme and a statement years ago that would say, I ain't got no time. I ain't got time for that. Right? Ain't nobody got time for that. That was and it was the whole idea of really taking honest inventory of how you want to spend your time, what you want to do with it, and how you want to share it with somebody.
Mhm. You know, and
Excuse me.
for those of us who live in the northeast of the United States, we're getting ready to go into autumn, less sunlight. You know, take the time, if you can, during the week or during the weekend, just to go outside and take some deep breaths and enjoy the sunlight and the air as it's changing, because we're going to go from one season to the next. And it's kind of interesting, Doctor. Well, the animals, as my grandfather's a farmer, he would say, "Oh, the animals know the weather is changing. We know the weather is changing. We just don't pay attention to what our body's telling us." But we know we change our clothes. We get warmer clothes for this fall and winter than we have in the
Mm-hmm.
summertime. So we do take the time and do certain things that we know we have to do,
Right.
right? But take some time. The weather is changing, the air quality, the type of the air is changing too. Go outside and take some deep breaths.
Mm-hmm.
The summer air is gone. The fall air is here. Take some deep breaths into your lungs and enjoy that air. You live in the northeast part of the United States, or whatever part of the United States, whatever part of the world you live
Wherever
in.
you live.
Yeah, because as you know, I do business in Africa, and they're getting ready to, in South Africa. They coming out of winter into summer, but they're the opposite of
Mm-hmm.
us, right?
Mm-hmm.
One time I was talking to one of the guys in South Africa, and he had this big old sweater on. And I'm like, "Dude, why you got a sweater on?" He said, "Oh, it's winter time over." I said, "Oops!" On the other side of the,
That's
the
right. I
equation.
forgot. I forgot.
So it's just that there's so much we could do, and we have the opportunity to give yourself a chance to live for yourself.
Mm.
Like I'd say in a decent way, give yourself
Mm-hmm.
a chance to live for yourself.
Yeah, Kelly says she did some stretching before bed last night and incorporated a breathing technique. And she says she woke herself up snoring.
Tell you too much.
She said
I
she
know what
was
she
on the mat in the living room and had to get up and take it to bed. Okay. Look.
Tell you funny guy. I know one time I woke myself from sleep. What's that noise?
Well,
What was that noise? That was me.
and he looked around. He couldn't blame it on me, y'all. He could not blame it on me. So yeah, there are so many times where I will fall asleep, and I didn't know I fell asleep until I woke up, and I was like, "Dang, how that happened?" So
Yeah, because the TV's
yes,
watching you. Say, wait a minute, I was watching something that now the news is on. What
uh-huh,
happened?
yes, yeah, yes, Kelly, that was Sweet Brown. Said, "Ain't nobody got time for that." Yes. So, but all of it is so important, and I'm glad we had this conversation. I know we came on initially saying we were going to focus on relationships and how we're able to work together in the various businesses and the challenges, as well as the what's the word that I want? The triumphs, right? The exciting part of it. Sometimes we can sneak in extra date moments where we may have lunch together and we spend more time. But to your point, it comes back to these 24 hours and how we want to spend that time, what is going to lead to our overall wellness of life.
Mhm,
And we are very intentional about that, and we
mhm,
encourage people to be very intentional about your life, and you make the necessary. This is what I was talking about it during the workshop today on vulnerability, right? First of all, we have to be open enough to really be honest about what it is that we want what we want in our life, right? And we have to be able to state it and stake our claim in what I refer to our greatest life. We
mhm,
have to be bold enough to do that. And then we have to be bold enough to believe that we can have it. And we have to take that honest inventory to see where are we doubting that we can actually have our greatest life so that we can extract that and detox ourselves from it. And then we have to then create that action plan utilizing the time that we choose to devote to the steps that we need to take to move us towards our
mhm.
greatest life. There's a couple of comments I want to bring up, and then I know you have something to say, and then I know we'll be getting ready to wrap up. So, Kelly says it was your breathing technique you taught us. Oh, that's
There you
good.
go. Okay, Kelly.
Yeah, so yeah, we I did that breathing technique on God's hot spot. Jamila had said early on, Right. In the words of Dr. Walls, every opportunity is not an option, isn't an option. And so we have to take, again, we have to be honest about that. Um, yes, and Regina says relation with self is paramount. 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Mhm.
Go ahead, Brother Mojo. What you
Well,
what you want to say?
before we go, I'd like to throw something at those who are listening, something you might want to try. Think about
Okay.
it. Um, everyone has the majority of us have smartphones and we have iPhone or whatever, WhatsApp. Take a time this and call your partner for like a minute.
Hmm.
Have your minute. If you guys are, if you guys are working so far away from each other, you can't have lunch together, but you could have a phone time together.
Yeah.
Just do a
Yeah.
minute. Just say, hey babe, how you doing? Just
Yeah.
check. My wife does that to me. I'm just calling, checking on you, see how you doing.
Hmm.
I'm like, that's cool. You know,
Hmm.
that's nice because it stop and the thing is, it stops me. Lots of times it just stops me and think,
Hmm.
and that's really cool to do that. To have someone that stop you and just have you thinking because sometimes we get so wrapped up in things during the day, we time runs by us so quickly, and then next thing
Yeah.
you know, it's like, ooh, where did all the time go? So
Yeah.
just if your significant other, just call them, on FaceTime them or WhatsApp because WhatsApp you could call on WhatsApp, FaceTime on WhatsApp too.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
we have the phone, we have the technology to let's use it for ourselves,
Yeah.
sometimes instead of all
Yeah.
the other
And I
stuff.
would say, with all types of people, with be it your romantic mate, be it your siblings. Hello, good evening. Being your siblings, be friends who you haven't seen. I mean, sometimes I just call mine, like you said, on WhatsApp, and we know that that's a very viable resource. Um, just sometimes you want to see their face. So sometimes you want more than just to hear their voice. I do it with my mom. She's not as mobile as she once was, so we utilize FaceTime or WhatsApp a lot so she can see different people from around the world and have that. Now, it's usually only about 25 to 30 seconds, but nonetheless, it is that connective piece. But again, it's looking at 360 degrees of wellness. What do you need in order for your life to be um, what you consider your greatest life, for it to be fulfilling, for it to be
Mhm.
enjoyable? Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying,
You
yeah,
think you're about to say
have fun.
something?
No, just enjoy life, family. Just I have fun. So you go, sometimes I just sit in the hall and wait for my wife to come out the shower and say, mm-hmm.
Here he goes. See y'all, it's past 9 o'clock. Now he won't be fresh. I'm kicking
Like,
him
you
off.
know,
Don't y'all be sitting
I,
up there laughing at him. Don't you
oh, you
laugh
know what?
and encourage
Let's take the towel out of the bathroom and say, oh, babe, I need a towel. Oh,
him.
really? Take time to enjoy life, man. That's all I'm
Yes,
saying. Make your joy. Make your own joy because no one's going to do it for you as good as you could do it for yourself.
that's right. That's right. And it is important to find out what is Leslie is cracking up, as I'm sure others are as well. So
But
go
if you
ahead.
know me, I'm real. I'm real.
Yes.
That's me. I'm dead serious because you would ask her something, I'll be sitting in the hallway like, or I just had to go and brush my teeth at that time. But make your joy because no one is going to make your joy for you the way you
That's
can.
right. That's right.
Because
They
at the end of
can't.
the day, yeah, at the end of the day, you're gonna sit back and say, "What did I do for myself?" You don't want to wait 10 years down the line and say, "Shoulda, coulda, woulda." You know that old sign,
Yes.
"Shoulda, coulda, woulda." Don't do no
Yes.
shoulda, coulda, woulda. Do it
That's
now.
right.
Just have fun. Enjoy some time with
Yes.
yourself.
Yes. Well, that's it. Make time for yourself. Be honest with yourself. Make the adjustments as you need them. During my workshop today, one of the quotes that I gave them was, when we are so busy living our lives, we often don't have time to shape our lives.
Hmm.
Let's take time to create our greatest life.
Hey, Dr. Walls, you're pretty good.
You know, every
Hey,
once in a
yeah,
while.
I
You
gotta
know,
come by
I
and
ain't
see you.
gonna try. I'll drop it.
I gotta come by and see you. Mm.
Come up and see me sometime. All right, y'all. That is all she wrote. Brother Moja, any announcements you
You
want
know
to give
what? I
people?
want to thank all the people who have been supporting our web series Kadaga. We are working
Hmm.
on the fourth season now. We are shooting some, really writing some good stuff and shooting some good stuff. So please be patient with us. It is we are
We're in
this,
production.
this yeah this not only we're in pre-production. This web series is the first thing my wife and I have done from scratch.
Hmm.
Okay, and we want to do it good. We want to make it family friendly where there's no nudity, there's no sex in Kadaga, but what we do find is that we put a storyline together that's entertaining and educational. And so thank you all so much for the support. And we actually just keep supporting us because we are building something really. I feel we're building something very beautiful for our community from our perspective.
Hmm. And so, for those who are joining us, you can find the web series Kadaga on YouTube at UCCN TV. As far as this replay is concerned, it will be on YouTube at Ask Dr. Walls 525. We ask you to definitely subscribe to those pages as well. If you, and then also my other page for my children's book series is on YouTube at Froggy T and Bunny, and that's Bunnie. I'm super excited because there's a new addition. There's several new additions to the Froggy T and Bunny family. And so here's one of them. And that is a Froggy T and Bunny coloring and activity book. And so I'm just waiting. It's still in the approval stage. This is my sample, which they were able to send to me, and I approved it. And so now I'm just waiting for them to make it go live. So that'll be hopefully any moment now, but definitely by the weekend, it should be up. And there's also some other goodies that are on the horizon very shortly when it comes to Froggy T and Bunny. So you can also check out our Froggy T and Bunny YouTube page again at Froggy T and Bunny. So I hope you definitely subscribe to all of them. Now, next week, I will be on Wednesday on for Walls of Wellness or Planters Knowledge. I'm trying to remember. See, this is what happened when you got so many different shows. But you met author Danielle Lawrence last month, and she talked about emotional maturity. It was such an incredible response to that episode that I had to bring them back, y'all. So
Hmm.
on Wednesday, Wednesday, September 25th at 7 p.m. So right before date time. So y'all know we're going to do it. And then I got to go because y'all already know Wednesday is date night. So at
Baby.
7 p.m. on
Mhm.
Wednesday, September 25th, Danielle Lawrence and I will be doing round two. And then there'll be some other shows that will pop up from time to time. So we're super excited. We thank you. It's actually been a year since we started doing shows consistently. It was last September, Brother Moja, that we started with Sisters for Harmony again, and we started with Stronger Together. So happy YouTube anniversary, darling.
Yeah, baby.
Hmm.
Break out the champagne.
Hmm. All
Mm,
right, y'all. I got to go.
I got to go.
I gotta whip my hair back and forth, whip my hair back and forth.
Pray for me, family. Pray for me. That's Miss Young. Pray for me, Miss Young. Pray for me, Miss Young. Pray for me.
All right, thank you, Jamila. Jamila said happy anniversary, happy YouTube anniversary.
Thank you,
Yes,
Jamila.
we did a whole year. All right, y'all. We will see you soon. As always, we say God bless and continue to live your greatest life.
Goodbye.
Anything else you got, Brother Moja? He said
Oh,
bye. That's it.
yeah, that's it. One love.
All right. One love. Good night, y'all. Bye bye. Thank
Bye
you for
bye.
joining us. Bye.